Welcome to the latest edition of the LSUS Coaches Show, live from Twisted Root right here on Line Avenue. I'm Tyler Moody, set to guide you through this week's LSUS Coaches Show. We've got a lot on the docket right now. It is peak LSUS athletic season, soccer in the semifinals of the Red River Athletic Conference Tournament. Basketball season getting fired up for the women's team, and the men are now 4 games in. We're going to talk to head coach Max Strickland first. We'll hear from men's basketball coach Kyle Blankenship after that, and then we'll turn our sights to soccer season and the culmination of everything those teams have worked for as both the men and women are in action against Our Lady of the Lake on Friday in the semifinals of the Red River Athletic Conference Tournament. We'll end our show with that. I've got some interviews with players and Ashley Holland, the head coach of the women's team, that we'll kind of end the entire show with, and we'll even hear from athletic director Lucas Morgan. But right now, let's turn our sights to the women's basketball team and what head coach Matt Strickland and company have been able to accomplish so far. Your first game, you pick up your first win against Southern University, New Orleans. We'll talk more about the game in a minute, but as a head coach, what's it like to get your very first win for your program?
Oh, it's awesome. I think just to see everything we've been working on translate into a game and be able to get that first win is pretty good, and I feel good about it. So.
Well, we certainly felt good about it. We had a cool picture of, Lucas Morgan presenting you with the basketball after the game. I know that was a great feeling for everybody in the program to see you get that win. And let's actually talk about the game now. What were some of the things you saw that you liked from us in that game? What were some things that maybe we feel like we need to improve on? I know it's early in the season and it's really tough to gauge each and everything, but what were some positives from that victory over Suno?
Yep, no, I think we were able to take advantage of our quickness and athleticism. That second quarter we really got going and put a lot of points up, and were able to build a comfortable lead. Some of the things we had to work on were transition defense and taking care of the ball. We were able to shore some of those things up in practice the rest of that week, and I think we did better in the game last night.
Well, we got a couple newcomers. Deaja Thompson put up a pretty good game there, but I want to talk about one of the returners, Future Banks. She's been really big through the first couple games here for us. I thought she was tremendous in game one. She was our Johnny's Pizza House player of the game, and then she was also very good back in the game last night as well, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. What can you say about Future and her impact she's had early on?
Fu's been good. She just goes about her work every day and doesn't say a whole lot, just leads by example. Mm-hmm. And, she's a really good player, very talented, but she plays hard. I mean, the ball seems to find her, and she's always in the right spot to make a play and rebound the basketball. So she's been huge so far early in the season.
Well, you guys last night taking on D1 Houston Baptist down in Houston against the Huskies. Had a really promising first half, leading 23-17 going into the first half. Ultimately ended up losing the game 67-44, but taking on a D1 program, what were some things that the ladies learned last night, in the exhibition game? We should throw that out as an exhibition game for us, a real game for them. What were some things you saw in that first half that you liked?
Yep. First half, definitely after that first quarter, we were able to settle in a little bit.
Yeah, second quarter was very good.
Mm-hmm. We were able to settle in and kind of get in our offense and play the way we wanted to play. And we were able to get some transition baskets, and we played a lot of good defense and everything like that. A couple takeaways I think that are positive. We out-rebounded them, which was key for us going into that game. And the turnovers, which we didn't do so well. I think we had about 31 turnovers. Yeah. So a lot of those came in the second half. We got to be more aggressive. Obviously they picked up the pressure there in that third quarter. We kind of ran into a buzzsaw a little bit. But there's a lot of things we can learn from. We're going to take a look at the film here this afternoon and see how we can improve.
Honestly, you take away a kind of a bad 4-minute stretch right there to start the third quarter, and it was a really even game. I think we were like behind 2 points if you exclude that run that they had out of the gates there in the third quarter. So, a lot of positives. I watched the game last night. I saw some things that I definitely liked, and I feel like we're going to be ready as we move forward. And moving forward now, the next game on the docket, you have Texas Wesleyan and the Sagu Classic on Friday, and then you'll turn and play number 3 Oklahoma City. It's kind of a big test weekend to find out what the team's made of, is it not?
Absolutely. Texas Wesleyan got a big win last night, I believe it was. They're very talented, and obviously Oklahoma City, number 3 team in the country. They've won plenty of national titles, so they're kind of the standard in women's basketball on the NAIA side. So it is a big week. We're going to be tested. I mean, that's why we play these Division I exhibition games to test us and get us ready for these big matchups in the NAIA.
Well, now a couple games through as a head coach, what's the feeling for you, man? Like, I know you've got plenty of a experience, and a lot of people are very confident in what you're doing now. What's something you didn't know that you now know?
I've got to take it a little easier on the refs. I was kind of not yelling at them, just riding them a little bit last night. I got to just kind of take a step back not everything's a foul, and I got to, make sure my players are doing their part before I get after the rest a little bit. But just kind of taking a step back and analyzing things that are happening on the court and being able to make adjustments on the fly is something I've probably got to get a little better at.
Well, hey, man, we're very proud of you. Picked up your first win. The ladies are 1-0, and they're back in action 2 games this weekend at the Sagu Classic. Texas Wesleyan, 6 o'clock on Friday, and then 1 o'clock against Oklahoma City on Saturday. Head coach Matt Strickland. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We'll now bring in head coach Kyle Blankenship. He'll join us to talk about the men's basketball program off to a 4-0 start. This guy right here, man, he's always ready to talk because he's got a lot to talk about. And right now it's because his team's 4-0 out of the gates, looking really strong. We haven't had a chance to catch up with you since the first game, so let's kind of go back through the 4 games, if that sounds like a good plan to you.
Well, I mean, we played a lot of games in just a few amount of days. So, I mean, you're going to have to refresh my memory a little bit on everything that's going on. I know we got off to a great start against Southwest Adventist. Really showed our athleticism and what we're capable of. High-flying, fast-paced, in-your-face defense. We outmanned them. It was an easy game for us. And then we followed that back up with a quality win over Suno, a good NAI program that came in here with some size and a little more depth and better basketball players. And they tested us. And, early in the season, you can watch the games last night at the top of Division I basketball. And a lot of early season games are bad basketball when you actually analyze what's going on. It's because everybody's trying to figure each other out. We've got a bunch of new players. And it's so early in the season that we're really working on us right now more so than worrying about the opponent that we're playing. But I guess credit scheduling. We did a good job scheduling 4 wins early in the season.
Give the coach the credit, right?
And we'll take it 4-0. That's you can't get any better than that.
Yeah, let's go back to game 1 against Southwestern Adventist. 130 points, a record for the Pilots on opening night. That just kind of shows the offensive impact that this team can have when everything is clicking, right?
Yeah, when we're able to get stops on the defensive end, whether it's forcing a turnover or one shot and a rebound, and we can get out and run, that's when we're at our best.
Agreed.
We've got a lot of playmakers, and we really trust everybody 1 through 5 on the floor to get the rebound and make the right play, whether it's an outlet pass or get it and push, and everybody else run as hard as they can. And we hope that that's the style we'll be able to play throughout the whole season. Obviously, we're not going to score 130 points every night out, but we want to put on a show every time we step on the floor, and I think we've got the team that can do that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, right now averaging 100 points, and if you look at that, it's like, okay, this team's scoring a lot of points, but I want to go back to it. And we're going to talk about it a lot this season. This team is built on what they can do defensively. They get out, they hound you, pick you up full court, create turnovers. And I've kind of seen in the first couple games, and correct me if I'm wrong, get maybe a slow start, and then the defense clicks. And then we take the game over. Is that what you're seeing from the sidelines as well?
Right. I mean, defense is what is always going to get teams going, especially early in games. I mean, you've got to be able to come out and get stops, force turnovers, and then be able to run and push and settle in offensively. And so for us, to get off to fast starts, it's going to start on the defensive end. And we're not where we need to be. We've had a lot of breakdowns in these early games, and that's just part of early season basketball. We really haven't mixed up our defenses too much that we will as we move on into the season.
Don't want to play all your cards just yet, right?
Yeah. Not just yet, but we're trying to figure out the identity of this team, and we obviously have to get better in the half court of being able to guard the basketball. But I do like our full court defense and the pressure and the active hands that our guys have and our length on the back end. I mean, you've seen Gilbert Thomas game after game just being a racer around the rim and a rim protector. And he's not the only one that can do that. Andre Washington is really good at that stuff as well. He just hadn't had as many opportunities. And so we try to build off that, and that's the style we'd ultimately like to play all season long.
Yeah, showing some of these highlights right now of Gilbert Thomas and some of the blocks that he's had, and it's his instincts. Like, obviously he's just 6'7". He plays bigger than that. He can leap out of the building, but it feels like he has incredible defensive instincts and his ability to read when he should be attacking as a defender.
He does. That's something that you can't teach as a coach, how to block shots. It's all about timing and instincts. You're right on that. And Gilbert's just got a high motor. He just wants it. Every time he steps on the floor, he's going to play hard. He's going to give us everything we got. He's an emotional player, but I like it.
Yeah.
He's what we call a dog. You got to have those guys that are ready to go to war, go to the fight every night, and we're fired up that he's a part of our program this year.
Yeah, it's great when you got a lead dog like that, kind of leading the charge defensively, and then after he gets a block shot, we get out and we run, and that's usually kind of led by Trey Knight, Kadavion Evans. We're dangerous in transition.
Oh, yeah, that's the strength of our team. You know, those guys are fast, but the great thing about it is they play under control. Even though we're going full speed, they typically make the right play. And, you know, both KD and Trey have an extremely high IQ. You know, they've played at the highest level of college basketball. And those guys, when they're pushing fast, you know, the game still seems slow to them, even though it's going at a quick speed. And that's when you're able to be effective in transition.
What's something you would like to see us do a little bit better that maybe we haven't quite? I know it's just 4 games. There's plenty of growing to be done. What's something that stuck out to you that said, man, I wish we were doing that a little bit better right now?
Well, we've got to be able to execute on the offensive end. You know, it's a long season, but I tell our guys, you know, we've had teams that have averaged nearly 100 points a game for the whole year and been the top scoring team in the country. But when you get out to the national tournament, those games are not played in the 90s.
Sure. They're
played in the 60s and 70s. You know, 2 years ago, we had the highest scoring team in the country, and we get out there and make a run to the Final Four, and all those games were played in the 60s. And that's the type of game it is. You've got to be able to guard in the half court, and you have to be able to execute. And right now we're not where we need to be in terms of that. We're working on that daily. It's part of the process, you know, just repetition of and also putting in new plays. You know, early in the season we don't have our whole playbook in, and guys are trying to get a good idea of what to do and where to be and how to do it. But, again, it goes back to the last time we talked. When plays break down, you've got to be able to play basketball at the end of the day. And I tell our guys all the time, if you make a mistake, make it going hard. Because then you can still accomplish something out of it instead of just standing and not doing anything. So that's one of the things that I think we most need to work on is being able to execute not only offensively but defensively when we switch up our defenses.
Kind of looking forward now, you got MacU coming in. It's really the first big test of the year, right? We'll be on the road against MacU, number 18 in the country right now. And for me, it's really, and I'm sure you feel the same way, it's the first time we're going to really see what we're made of. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, it's a great test. It's early in the season, and both of us have had some easy wins. They had a really good win over a team in our conference, Texas Arcana. And, you know, but it's going to be a great test for both teams. It's an early season matchup, so neither team is going to be at their best. But it's going to be an opportunity to see where we are right now here in early November. I know their coach is excited about it. I talked to him yesterday. He's a good friend of mine. Okay. He's a National Raider. That's another good thing about going and playing this game is I'm a National Raider. He is, so we can put eyes on each other, which ultimately will not only help our teams but help both of our conferences in the long run. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're going to go in there, and I'm sure they're going to expose some things that we hadn't worked on, and hopefully we can do the same with them, and we'll play as hard as we can. We're going in there with the mindset that it's a big opportunity to get a win for our program.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock?
Yes, 6:30.
6:30, okay, excuse me, that's on me. 6:30 tomorrow night. Should be able to watch the game on their live stream. I think they have it set up. We've watched some of their soccer games in the past, so that should be available to all LSUS athletics fans. And who's someone, as we kind of wrap things up here, and we'll talk to Coach Philip Bond here in a minute, who's somebody that's maybe surprised you a little bit early in the season? You said, man, that he's more of a baller than we expected, if that makes sense.
Well, I think, you know, just in terms of production is Andre Washington. You know, he's come off the bench for us in that first game. He had 17 rebounds, something like that. He's averaging. He's our leading rebounder right now. And he has really improved from the time that he got here to today. And if he'll continue to make that improvement throughout the year,
great coaching.
I think he'll actually end up being a more productive player. Okay. You know, I mean, he texted me yesterday and said, hey, Coach, what do I have to do to be better? And I'm going to meet with him as soon as I leave here and just kind of give him some pointers and give him my thoughts on what I think he can do to better help this team. But that's the kind of drive that you got to have. It's got to come from within. Coaches can't always just push. You don't want to have to coach energy and effort.
Sure.
You want guys that want it and that love to play the game and show up every day. And so, you know, he's been very good for us in the role that he's played so far this season, and we're hoping that he can step up and even take it to a higher level.
Energy and effort can change any game. It's something that you can see it no matter where you're at on the court. There's those guys that are energy and effort guys, and they make impacts game after game. Final question that I have for you here. What was it like to see head coach Max Strickland of the women's team get his first W? I know he's kind of, you know, in the coaching tree now. What did that mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it was so exciting because I know what it's like to win that first one. You know, I'll always remember my first win for the rest of my life. I know he will. In addition to Coach Strick, we got a former member of my coaching tree, C.J. Hislop, coaching high school basketball now down in South Louisiana, that he picked up his first win as a head coach this past week, and he actually picked it up against one of my former players in Jake Green, whose brother-in-law plays for us, Brendan Maddox.
This coaching tree is getting bigger and bigger, man.
So it's been an exciting week, an exciting start to the season for LSUS basketball, and for me personally, being able to see those guys go out and fulfill their dreams and become head coaches and ultimately win. And I know that anybody be thrilled to have any of those guys leading their basketball programs. Unfortunately, we've got one of them leading our women's program right here at LSUS this year.
That's right. We got a great coach leading our men's program as well, head coach Kyle Blankenship. The men are off to a 4-0 start, back in action against number 18, MacU, tomorrow night at 6:30 on the road. Appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we got head coach Phillip Bond coming in now to talk about the Red River Athletic Conference semifinal tournament up in Texarkana. Welcome in, Coach. It's about that time, man. Everything you've worked for this entire year about to play out over the next couple of days as you try and get that automatic qualifying bid up in Texarkana. Semifinal game, a rematch against Our Lady of the Lake. What's the feeling going into this weekend for the team?
I think we're all just kind of sick of waiting around.
Yeah, sure.
So we're just ready to play. Obviously, you take advantage of every opportunity to get better. But at some point, you just want to play. And 2 weeks off is a very long time, especially since we haven't had that kind of a break all season.
Yeah. Well, we should mention you guys had a bye week because you were the number 2 seed. You are number 2 going into the tournament. The women had to play last week. You guys got a chance to get some extra practice in. And one thing that has happened that we need to mention, we've pushed it out already, the tournament has been moved from Thursday, Friday to Friday, Saturday. Does that change anything as a coach? I mean, just a little extra rest, I suppose?
Yeah. I mean, we really have just tried to continue to focus on getting better. Try to limit the amount of time we spend trying to overanalyze who we're going to play, because I think sometimes you just drive yourself crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
But, again, 2 weeks without a game, I think you're starting to see it in practice. Everybody's starting to get just – I don't know what the word is.
Antsy, maybe?
Antsy.
A little
That's
ready
exactly
to go.
what it is.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get a lot of coaches at practice.
Sure.
Everybody's got the answer. And we need to get back to just a bunch of players, and we need to play.
Well, it's a revenge game, a rematch game. Lost to Our Lady of the Lake the last time. It was on their turf. Now you'll be at a neutral field for this one. What's something we can do better this time to take care of business against the Saints?
Almost everything.
Okay.
So I didn't think that was one of our better games. And every team, is going to have a down game. It's just going to happen most of the time. I don't think we had great focus. I don't think we had great togetherness. I don't think we played excessively hard or smart. We were down some players, sure. But, we look and say, okay, we know what we have to improve. And I think we all feel pretty confident that if we play at or to our best, close, play together, I think we feel very confident in our ability.
Looking at the other side of the bracket, you've got Houston Victoria and LSUA. What do you kind of expect from their matchup? Is that something you've thought about? Is that anything in your mind that you've given any of your time to, I guess?
As a fan?
Yeah, sure,
yes.
Sure.
I don't know if as a coach, both games were really good when we played both teams. Victoria's a really good team, and it was a great game we played, so we know that would be a tough matchup. LSUA is a rival.
Sure.
And they're a good team, but it's a rival game. So if you play them again, if we're fortunate enough, that has a life of its own. Yeah. So as a fan, I can't wait to see it. That was a matchup in the conference tournament last year. LSU ended up winning that game. So as a fan, I'm looking forward to seeing it. That game will be played right before our game on Friday afternoon.
And I'll be on the call for all the games this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have our cameras out there. We'll be set up. It'll be just like you would see for a normal LSUS game, except for it'll be run through the Red River. So all the games will be broadcast, and you'll be able to watch our teams play. And by the way, I do want to mention, didn't get this in just yet, we've moved up one more spot in the national rankings, up to 21, from 21 to 20. What's your mindset, I guess, kind of in where we sit nationally right now? It's kind of,
I don't know, maybe a little bit lower than our resume deserves.
Sure.
But, being a new program and we haven't never been ranked before, you kind of have to prove yourself. So this weekend, not only are you fighting for a trophy and an automatic berth to nationals, you're fighting for kind of relevance and to prove ourselves on the national stage a little bit. And I don't know, it's just a lot wrapped in it. Ultimately, if we don't perform well on Friday, none of the national stuff really matters.
That's very fair, and it's been a great season, though. Like, as we kind of look back here, because this may be one of the last chances we talk to you on the Coaches Show. We'll still have extra interviews and things, but, like, just looking at the season as a whole, it's been pretty successful, right? I mean, I know we still have to finish it off here. But, like, just looking back without knowing the results of this weekend, it's been a successful season, breaking into the top 25, going toe-to-toe with some of the teams. They were, you know, at the top of the nation.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an awesome season. I mean, just not only who we've gotten to play, just how we've responded in a lot of those big games.
Yeah.
The focus we've had through this conference schedule, the consistency I think we've, for the most part, shown has been awesome. Our freshmen that have come in and added just so much to this team and in so many games. Our guys that have been with us for 3 years, to be able to see them have a great season and be the leaders on the team, and other guys that have come in as transfers along the way. I mean, it's just been really cool to see it all come together this season, and the success and the fun we've been able to have. And we talk about it. We just don't want it to be over.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not sure if it's necessarily just as much about how we want to win another game or we want to advance further, as we just want to continue to train and coach and play together, because it's been really fun.
Final question I have for you here. We haven't spoken since senior day, and you made me think of it in my mind. Finished off the season with a win against HT, but more importantly than that, had a chance to honor our seniors and send them out in the regular season the right way. I thought it turned out to be a really great senior day.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And, you know, at first you can say a senior day is only as good as winning.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to it.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people put a lot of energy into putting together the very best day we could for them to honor the seniors, because we know years from now they're going to remember that day and how it went. Clearly they're going to remember the result a little bit. But I just thought it was first class how all the people within our department, people within the program, we all kind of came together.
He deserves a lot of credit, because I like the way you set it all up. I love the flags that they had. I thought the entire thing was, because it was my first senior day that I've had a hand in, and I was very encouraged by the families that got a chance to see it. There were some people that reached out afterwards that watched it on the live stream that were, you know, appreciative for everything. So I thought it was a really cool way to send off a great class of seniors and a couple guys who have been a part of this thing since its rebirth.
Yeah, with Andres and Hector.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to just exceed their expectations.
Sure.
And they know what senior day was like last year, so they kind of have a feeling in their head. And then, you know, as coaches, you just hope, can we exceed those expectations? And hopefully we're able to do that for them, because they've been a huge part of our program, and you just want to honor them and let them know how important they are, just to make it, I hate to say it, but kind of all about them, especially during that halftime, that ceremony.
Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. 6 o'clock, Friday night.
6:30.
6:30, excuse me. I've got so many games on my schedule. It's absurd. 6:30 Friday night, LSUS taking on Our Lady of the Lake as the semifinal game is the 2 seed. Men's team is in action. Then 11 a.m., the women's team will be in action against Our Lady of the Lake as well. So it's a Pilots and Saints day on Friday as the two teams duke it out in the semifinals of the Red River Athletic Conference Tournament. We're now going to flip it over to some interviews that I have with head coach Ashley Holland of the women's team and a few of the players from the women's team and the men's team as well. So head coach of the men's team here, Phil, we appreciate you, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for checking this out. We'll wrap it up as soon as these interviews are over. Thank you. With Ayrton Redmore, defender for the LSUS men's soccer team. Ayrton, chance to take on Our Lady of the Lake coming up in the semifinals. What's the feeling for the boys as we move into the Red River Conference Tournament?
It's feeling good, you know. Obviously, we lost to them in the regular season, so trying to get some retribution and redemption and go forward and continue our season, which is what we plan to do.
Yeah, and kind of going back to that game, revenge on the mind, a chance for a rematch against the Saints. What's something we can do better this next round coming up here against Our Lady of the Lake to try and get forward to the finals?
Well, I think because it's like a knockout competition now, so you can't take anything for granted, you know. You just have to be very disciplined and very smart and listen to the game plan that the coach has and then execute it well, and no doubt we'll win.
Appreciate it. Ayrton Redmore, defender for the Pilots. Talking to Nico Hartman, goalkeeper for the LSUS Pilots here. Nico, your first conference tournament, you're one of the freshmen on this team, one of the leaders though. What's your thought and the team's expectations going into the conference tournament?
No, I think we're very confident going to the conference tournament. I think we did very, very good during the season. Now we're into the postseason, and I have no doubt that the team is gonna have a high performance, and we'll do everything to get the win and keep going in the conference.
So there's a rematch game for you guys, a chance to get some revenge against Our Lady of the Lake. They beat us the first time down there in San Antonio. What's some things we can do better as the Pilots to get that win and push forward to the finals?
I think we're gonna have higher motivation against this team, and we gonna give everything against this team, as we didn't have a good day when we play against them in their field. Now we're gonna play near us, and with the support of the LSUS people and community, we're gonna have a good environment, and we're gonna play good.
Love it. Nico Hartman, goalkeeper for the Pilots. Thanks, man. Catching up with Brittany Scott here in today's Pilots preview. Brittany was the hero in the big win against Texarkana just the other day to put the Pilots through to the semifinals. Brittany, kind of let's relive that moment here together, the game-winning goal. How does it feel now in the aftermath of it all?
It just doesn't seem real. It's kind of like, whoa, okay, we are going to the next round. We got to do this kind of thing. And it's pretty amazing. It's great.
Yeah, now moving forward to the next round, you get a chance for a revenge game against Olu. What do you ladies expect as we take on the Saints?
I just expect us to give it our all on the field and just put it all out there, because we have everything on the line. We need to do well, so that's what we win.
Great stuff, Brittany Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talking to Taylor Labuschagne, one of the defenders here for the Pilots. From your vantage point on the field, you were on the opposite end of the field when Brittany scored that goal. What was it like for you in that moment?
Oh my gosh, I remember looking over and seeing the clock counting down and like 25 seconds left, and I was like, it's now or never. She has to hit it. I don't care where it goes, she just has to hit it. And Brittany's kind of notorious for shanking it over the bar, but that day it just went in. I was so happy. I just remember jumping up and screaming my lungs out. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a perfectly placed shot. There's no doubt about it. And one of the biggest goals of the entire season for the Pilots. And now that moves us forward to take on Olu in the semifinal game, a revenge game for us. You know, it was a tough matchup against the Saints last time. What's something we expect going up against Olu this next round?
Olu's a tough team. They do a lot of in and out runs, and they draw the defenders away from holes, and then they run into those holes. So we just need to learn or communicate better and hand off our players so that we're marking the space instead of all chasing around each other.
Good stuff. Taylor Labuschagne, thank you.
Cheers.
Going to have some fun real quick with these two defenders for the Pilots. We've got Riley Smith here on the right and Luis Duffy on the left. Riley, we'll start with you. We'll kind of relive that last moment. Brittany Scott's goal with 25 seconds left in the game against Texarkana to push us through. What was the feeling like maybe back on the opposite end of the field as a defender?
Amazing. Is that what you got? Well, I'll jump in there.
Lou will carry it. The senior here ready to carry the torch.
Won't lie to you, saw Brittany, she was driving down, thought she was going to cross it, and it just kept rising and dipped, and honestly, from where I was standing, without my glasses on, I think it had just been tipped over the bar, and then everyone started going crazy, and we all just ran. Yeah, and I was crying, I think. I was crying. You were crying. Everyone was crying. It was amazing.
I was crying.
Yeah, it was amazing. The commentary was great, by the way.
Thank you. Honestly, I was caught in a moment of shock myself, because you just don't expect to score with 25 seconds left. It truly was a brilliant moment. I absolutely loved it. Now let's kind of look forward to where that goal put us, and that's in the semifinal round against the Saints of Olu coming up on Thursday. Tough game against them last time. Maybe revenge on our minds as we move forward, trying to push ourselves into the finals. What's something you guys are expecting from the Saints?
Riley? You got it. Well, obviously it was a really tough game. It was on the road, tough loss, 2-0. We had a lot of issues in that game. Gabriella went down and unfortunately had to get taken to hospital. Amy was having issues. Taylor was having issues. All round, it was a really, really bad day at the office for us. But it's a big revenge game for us. Hopefully on turf, neutral field, our fans being there, we'll get up for the game and we'll give them a good show, and hopefully we can pull off a win.
Appreciate it. A pair of the defenders here for the Pilots. You can catch them in action in the semifinals against Our Lady of the Lake. Catching up now with head coach Ashley Holland. Ashley, one of the biggest moments in LSUS women's soccer history happened in Texarkana just the other day. Brittany Scott, 25 seconds remaining, pushing the Pilots through to the semifinals. From the coach's perspective, kind of walk us through those last few moments.
You know, the whole game I was asking more from Brittany, and she gave it to us, definitely gave it to us. She's a player that can hit a ball anywhere, has a powerful shot, and she put that ball in, and I honestly didn't think it was going to go in. I mean, she'll hit some of those in practice and they'll be on the other field. So fantastic moment. It was just amazing to see, and amazing to see the team rally right behind her.
And real quick, one of the big moments in that game that we probably haven't talked about as much, she got pulled down in the box and set up a PK, and that was actually, kind of a defining moment as well.
Yeah, no, she really stepped up for us and did exactly what we needed to. She was trying to take players on and got pulled down, and Gabriella stepped up for us as well at the PK spot and put one away.
Well, what that goal set us up for is a revenge game, a rematch against Our Lady of the Lake in the semifinals. From the coaching world, the coaching perspective, what does it mean to take on the Saints again, and maybe what's something we can do better or different this go-round against the Saints?
Yeah, this is a game we want back. We did not have a good showing at all against Olu, and we've got a lot to improve on. Just simple things, the first touch, closing down players, little things that needs to happen every game, but really important. They have fantastic players all over the field, so making sure we get those players marked and cut that out.
Well, you can catch the Pilots in action in the semifinals against Our Lady of the Lake. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.